nice parts about CloudFront is that it will stop things from going to your S3 bucket so that theoretically you're not paying for the requests. I think when we did the version of this course a few years ago, like, yeah, but you're serving this stuff, so on and so forth. There's a new feature in CloudFront called Origin Access Identity, which is basically saying, hey, S3 bucket, I'm CloudFront, I'm going to get stuff out of here. Nobody else is allowed to, right? And it will go ahead and do it for you. And so that way we can actually go back to locking down the bucket completely, but also have CloudFront have access to the bucket. So CloudFront can pull stuff out of the S3 bucket. Nobody else can, thereby making sure as few requests get to that bucket as possible. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to basically lock down the bucket, turn this on. Now, the one thing I will warn you as we kind of get into this section is because everything is distributed and because it has to propagate, some of the stuff takes time, right? So we might end up in the situation, we try something, it doesn't work, we have to adjust it. Some of it is like it's a little bit of a fine art to develop the spiritual apparatus to understand, is my hunch that it's not working because I messed up a setting? Because like messing up the smallest setting will bring it down. Or do I just need to be a teensy bit more patient? So we will we'll figure that out as a team. But also, like, I'm sure, like through the magic of video editing, if you're watching this later, it might seem like stuff moves a lot faster. So kind of is also a mental note if you're watching the recorded version of this that like some of the stuff you do need to kind of give it a second. It is phenomenally faster than it was a few years ago. A few years ago, we were talking more like 5 to 10 minutes. Now it's like closer to 30 to 60 seconds for most things. But you know, you just have to be like mentally prepared for that as well. So before, the way we had it was working before, CloudFront can wrap anything. It can wrap an S3 bucket. That's totally cool. It can take your API endpoints that are hosted either on an Amazon EC2 instance, API gateway, your own data centers, so on and so forth. You can just point at something, it'll pass through CloudFront, and CloudFront will do all that caching, right? But we can have it work with the S3 bucket as well. So we were just using the website that we were hosting. We can switch it to that bucket, right? Like I said, like just clicking on this from the drop-down menu, I think we were joking during one of the breaks, there are still blog posts out there saying, whatever you do, don't pick that unless you do this. So we know that it's the base one, and that'll work. And then we can turn on this, giving it access to the S3 bucket. Because what used to happen previously is you just pick that, but it didn't have like all of that kind of like principal of least privilege and stuff like that. Like it was like, cool, I can't get anything. I can get you an error message. Thank you, CloudFront. That was very helpful of you. I'm really glad. So here we can say, OK, use this bucket, and then we will restrict access only to CloudFront. So we can go ahead. We can use what user, effectively, that's going to create. It's not really a full IAM user. It's a origin access identity. Hit create for a new one. We've got that in place. Now, I'm going to warn you. Ideally, you just want to let CloudFront update the bucket's access policy. I've done this a few times. 50% of the time, it works every time. So we'll hit it. And I'm going to hit save. And I did not get an error message. Now you'll notice the pause in my voice. Did anyone get an error message? So some people got an error message. Not everyone. All right, let's talk about what to do. It'd be great if we all consistently got the error message or no one got the error message. But let's go for it. You can even see that when it tried to do it and it failed, I was ready with a meme. Right? I was ready with a Thanos reference. So we can kind of go in. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the policy that we need to create. And then we'll go ahead and apply it in the case that it didn't work previously. So this is not much different than the policy that we set earlier, right? Before we said anything or anyone rather, was allowed to get things out of the bucket, right? When CloudFront made that OAI, it made some kind of identifier for it, right? And so all that we're going to do is we're going to go back over to our bucket, and we're going to say, OK, instead of anyone, only this one, only this user can access the bucket. This user happens to be CloudFront, and CloudFront will then be able to access the bucket. Nobody else will, which means if you want our sweet, sweet JavaScripts, you have to go through CloudFront to get it. Now, one thing that I will point out, again, it does not bring me joy, is if you look, if we go back at this, you're like, that starts with an E, right? You go back to CloudFront, and you see, oh, this is this. That's your CloudFront distribution ID. That is not your Origin Access Identity ID. To find that, just go over here to the sidebar to Origin Access Identities. That is the one you are looking for. It is the different set of random letters and numbers that start with an E that are roughly the same length in all caps. Do not use the previous one. That is the wrong one. Ask me how I know. Don't ask me how I know, because there's a lot of anger in the answer, right? But this is the value that you want. And before, I'll give everyone a second to go do that. But what we want to do is grab this, right? And you can head back into S3. Go find your bucket. Go to permissions. Find your policy. In my case, I still need to come in here and delete the everyone one anyway. So you should join me here anyway. And basically, if it failed at putting it in there for you, you can either replace this star with this, but your identifier, or if you got it put in there for you, then you can delete the everyone has access piece. I will leave these here for now. They're identical, other than the fact that this one is saying CloudFront has access, and this one is saying everyone has access. So what we want to do is we want to delete this one. We want to keep this one, or add this one if we didn't have it. There's a version of that in the course notes as well. Doesn't. It's like usually like it's auto-generating them for you. You can also give them cute names, like you can make the SID CloudFront's OAI access. That's a really good name. 2, not super helpful, but yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting to me that it had the very like specific string and then just 2 for the auto generator.
Yeah, that's completely arbitrary. I would name it something that makes you happy.